Hello! Today is World Intellectual Property Day. This year we focus on small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs. SMEs are the backbone of national economies. The World Bank estimates that SMEs make up to around 90% of the world's businesses and that they employ around 50% of the global workforce. And a recent European study shows that SMEs that use IP rights perform better than companies that don't focus on IP. During this program, we are going to discover some great SMEs in different parts of the world, and we will hear from leading experts who will share some practical tips on IP. We begin our journey in Kenya. Some of the world's greatest runners come from this African country, and that is exactly what inspired Navalayo Osembi Ombati to set up Enda, Kenya's first homegrown running shoe company.
Enda is a company based in Kenya that works with Kenyan athletes to develop running shoes for runners around the world. The name Enda is actually a Swahili word that means go, and it's a word that you'll hear a lot when people are cheering for their favorite athletes just when they're about to go to the finish line. Enda, 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 Enda. A common misconception is that IP is usually a preserve of big business, but I'm here to say that it is not. Look at our industry, which is performance footwear. Everybody is innovative and creative and always coming up with new things every day. And so as a brand in that space, we had to think about intellectual property rights from the beginning. One of the things we do to ensure constant development is to always think, before we launch a product, what are the potential IP rights that would need to be protected. Patents, for example, give the creator of an invention the exclusive right to use it, and nobody can use it without their permission, while trademarks are usually identifiers, something that when you see, you can identify to a specific person or a specific brand. I would say IP is definitely the path for the future. It is not the preserve of big business. You have to factor IP as something that is critical to your success.
Wow. This is how people used to register brands in the 1800s. And some of these brands are still valid today. We all have our favorite brands, but why is it that brands are so important for businesses?
Brands are the reason loyal customers come back time and again to buy the same product from the same business. Trademark registration boosts brand value and helps a business flourish by setting it apart from competitors. Registration also helps protect against counterfeiting and facilitates global expansion. When a business owner is focused on establishing their brand, or when their business is growing rapidly, it's understandable that they might overlook the need to register and protect their trademarks. This can result in dire consequences for a small business. Early trademark registration, especially in a global marketplace, can be a valuable component of a brand and business strategy.
I am now with Hongbing Chen, one of WIPO's trademark specialists. Hongbing, thank you very much for talking with us.
My pleasure, Dagna.
Follow me.
It's your first time, Dagna, to be a WIPO?
Yes, I'm a tourist. Hongbing, we all know that trademarks are very, very important, but are there any other ways for companies to build their commercial reputation?
确实如此。商标和品牌正日益成为任何一个成功的企业所发展战略的一个重要的组成部分。那么对于中小企业来讲，他们在营销和扩大品牌影响方面面临着独特的挑战。他们完全可以使用其他形式的商标来达到这样的目的，比如说用集体商标、证明商标或者地理标志。这样的话，形成集团的力量，扩大影响。那么在数字经济时代，中小企业可以直接的将他们的商品和服务的信息传递给他的目标客户。在这种情况下，设计、注册和保护好一个商标，那就显得尤其的重要。
Hongbing, merci. 谢谢。We're now going to the Kampot region of Cambodia, where Tida Tong and her team are using IP rights to build their brand.
My company, Thong Enterprise, is working on agriculture and food sector in Cambodia. We're producing different types of sea salt right now from Kampot province. We're producing like a coarse salt, like a big particle size. We have flour salt, French they call fleur de sel. We have flake salt, we have fine salt, we have aromatic salt. At the moment, we're also exporting to some countries like Japan, Switzerland, UK, Czech Republic, and French. Intellectual property is extremely important for our business. So to stand out from our competitor market, we had to do a lot of branding for our strategy, especially to go to the market. And having a good quality is not enough for this competitive market nowadays. You have to think about well thought out strategy to make sure that you can commercialize your product successfully into the market. My aim is to work together with our local producer or farmer and especially government authority to make sure that we can bring our Kampot sea salt into a new recognition as a geographical indication protection product. By having a GI recognition, I think it will help us, especially my company and the other salt producers from Kampot region, to increase their sales, especially into international markets. By focusing on our quality of sea salt, GI will help us to differentiate our product. It will show our uniqueness to our people, and it will be providing a protection against the fraud that they are having in the markets and the other form of deception as well. I firmly believe that geographical indication protection rights will help my company and the other fellow salt producers from Kampot region to achieve their business goals successfully, and of course to bring this best and flavorsome of Kampot sea salt to every kitchen in the globe.
Profitability is the goal of all companies. IP rights set the foundations for business growth. How a company uses its IP rights will depend on its business strategy. And now let's have a look at Crossfor, a jewelry company in Japan that uses IP rights to protect its business interests.
それで出来上がったのは中にクロスの光があるダイヤモンドですね。原石からはぶどまりが一番いいカットだと私は今でも信じています。そしてこれをもう日本じゃなくて世界に売っていこうということで、それにチャレンジするために会社の名前までクロスフォー社というふうに名前を変えたんです。大切なこととしてはその権利をですね、私が想像したものをその権利をきちんと行使できるように特許、意思商標、ありとあらゆる知財を利用していくってことは非常に私の商品を信用してくれる業者さん、また一般の消費者の方々においてもきちんとした信用の裏付けになりますので、やっぱり中小企業としては新しいアイデアはやっぱり命ですから。
That's very interesting, but I do wonder what is happening in the creative sector. The Colombian SME, Valencia Productions, has come up with an exciting new way for brands to communicate with consumers and for young people to learn all about the art of filmmaking. Let's have a look.
Valencia Producciones es una compañía que se ha dedicado a la innovación del audiovisual. Hacemos VFX y tenemos Smart Films, que es el festival de cine hecho con celulares. El cine es excluyente por dinero, porque somos de nicho, y poder abrir el espectro fílmico a que cualquier persona, que todo el mundo pudiera contar su historia. Ahí nace Smart Films. La propiedad intelectual para nosotros se convirtió en nuestro principal activo por una razón, porque cuando empezamos a diseñar SmartFilm entendíamos que debíamos patentarlo, registrarlo, y así lo hicimos. Nos da propiedad sobre las cosas que hacemos, protege las ideas de la gente y potencializa el emprendimiento de una manera impresionante. Entonces todo nuestro modelo de negocio está registrado, todo el festival tiene derechos de autor, marca registrada, es un formato que estamos exportando al mundo entero. Hay que ir en contra de las copias, vamos a apoyar la propiedad intelectual, vamos a apoyar que la gente pueda ser realmente certificada como dueño de esa idea.
Innovation is key in the world of intellectual property. We all need innovation to improve our lives. Now let's see how a group of young engineers and designers in France has come up with a great idea on how we can all get rid of the cables that we need to charge our electronic devices.
At Energy Square, we are developing a new wireless charging technology that solves all the main issues of classic inductive charging technologies. With power by contact, it's possible to charge all your devices simultaneously over an entire charging pad at the same speed as with a classic charger, with the same efficiency. Our main business is to sell licenses of this technology to device manufacturers. If we want to have some credibility to investors, we really need to have our technology well protected. From day one, we really decided to focus on intellectual property, and each time we had a new research and development idea, we tried to file a patent as soon as possible. We had quite a chicken and egg issue because to finance our IP portfolio, we needed huge investments, and to have these investments, we needed an IP and a patent portfolio. We were helped by France Brevet, which is a French organization that helped us finance our IP portfolio. We were able then to convince both clients and investors to join our company. A few months ago, we hired a head of IP into Energy Square. That goal is to build a global IP strategy around our technology. The core of our business is really our technology and our know-how. So if we don't protect it, we cannot do any business. So this is really our advice to other SMEs, especially that are in the field of electronics or that want to have a licensing business in a few years.
Now, let's hear some practical tips from experts around the world on IP for business.
Inventors themselves and entrepreneurs also have to treat their intellectual property as a valuable asset. The fact that it's not tangible does not mean that it's less valuable.
Il y a le bon outil au bon moment qui correspond à votre stratégie, votre situation, votre environnement.
The most important approach to IP is to use it as a commercial tool, as a strategic tool in an enterprise. Don't be too attached to it. Be prepared to trade with it, be prepared to enforce it if possible, but mainly be prepared to create win-win situations. Instead of thinking in terms of winning and losing lawsuits, think of creating business opportunities. And having a patent, having a trademark, or having a design is a very, very important key into entering negotiations.
For startups, it is very important to focus on innovation, because innovation means that there is an intrinsic value which will allow the company to scale very fast.
You always have to think before disclosing. You have to think about why you need to disclose. You have to think about to whom you're disclosing. If you are disclosing your invention or your technology to just a few people, you can have confidentiality obligations in place if those are your employees or your investors. But the moment you go to a larger public audience, then you have no control. And that's where you have to think about intellectual property.
La propriété industrielle donne les moyens à une start-up de construire une véritable stratégie concurrentielle et partenariale en sécurisant son avantage concurrentiel ou aussi en repérant les bons alliés pour innover.
Look through the eyes of the customer. It's important what the customer thinks is important in your product and not what you think is important in your product. And you should aim to protect those features that are important to the customers.
SMEs can use IP rights to attract investors and scale up their businesses. And that is exactly what Otso from Singapore is doing.
We started 3 years ago to develop robotics technology, mainly in autonomous drive technology. So one thing I learned about IP valuation is it's not as complicated as we think it could be. IP valuation report really came as a big help. It helped us in the sense that it gave us a neutral report. And in terms of the price itself, different investors were using different lenses looking at our company. So it helped us to negotiate with them as this is an independent report and help to justify our business value.
What Otsa is doing is great, but in general terms, what is it that makes a company attractive to an investor?
I'm one of Europe's most active angel investors. I also run the Techstars Berlin mentorship-driven accelerator, investing in early-stage companies from all over the world. There's probably 2 or 3 things that make an early-stage company attractive to an investor. The first is the team, the second is the market and the size of the opportunity, and then the third is probably the intellectual property that underpins that entire company. The way that we think about it is to look at the foundation of that company and to really examine whether they've got all the right ingredients to get to where they need to be. It's not about where they are today, it's about where they could be tomorrow. It's all about how that company can use those assets, if IP is considered a key economic asset, to leverage growth in the future.
You're still not sure whether IP is for you? The experience of Julius K9 shows us just how important it is to protect your ideas.
Amikor mi a termékeket elkezdtük fejleszteni vállalkozásunk kezdetén, rengeteg műszaki fejlesztésünk volt, nem tudtuk megállapítani, hogy melyek azok, amelyek védelemre szorulnának, és melyek azok, amik aztán később világsikerű fejlesztések lennének. Az első, amiben el tudtunk indulni, mert el kellett, hiszen láttuk azt, hogy a nevünkre mások is fenik a fogukat, az a márkavédelem területe volt. Úgy gondoltuk, hogy egy ábrás védjegyet adunk le, amiben szerepel a Julius K9 márka név. Azt gondolom, hogy akkor hibát követtünk el, akkor meg kellett volna tenni azt a lépést, hogy a Julius és a K9 neveket is levédjük. Ha ezt a lépést akkor megtettük volna, akkor ma sokkal kevesebb jogi problémánk lenne. És a tapasztalatom az, hogy akkor ér bennünket az első csapás, mint ahogy minket is, amikor már értéket teremtettünk, és az értékben látják a versenytársak, más piaci szereplők a lehetőséget a haszonszerzésre. A márkanevünk kezdeti védelmei után a műszaki tartalom védelmének területére úgy tévedtünk, hogy a másolók a műszaki tartalmat egy az egyben, a dizájnt egy az egyben használni kezdték, és gyakorlatilag elvettek tőlünk piacterületek. Az innovációk védelme tekintetében egy 3-as fogatot alkalmazunk, ami egyrészt épül a márkára, vagy az adott almárkára, ami a fejlesztéshez köthető, aztán egy formatervezésre, azaz a design védelmére, illetve a műszaki tartalomra. A szellemi tulajdonok védelmével a cégérték meghatározásnál is komoly feladatokat és lehetőségeket kapunk. Én azt gondolom, hogy vállalatunkban egy kiemelt érték az, hogy a stratégiai termékcsaládjaink gyakorlatilag minden irányból védve vannak, és gyakorlatilag kockázatmentesen forgalmazhatóak, és a versenytársainknak azt a lehetőséget nem adjuk meg, hogy hasonló termékeket, hasonló műszaki tartalommal vagy innovációval forgalmazni tudjanak.
Now is the time to think about how IP rights can help you take your amazing ideas to market, create jobs, and support global economic recovery.
Inventors and entrepreneurs, small businesses, have to recognize the value of intellectual property within their businesses.
Revisit your IP portfolio. It saves you money.
Start thinking about IP protection once you have a proof of concept. People talk about technology readiness level, so that would be around technology readiness level 3 and 4.
Bien gérés ou astucieusement sélectionnés, ces outils peuvent vous aider à vous développer finalement.
We need both to protect our clients and to protect us from other technology giants.
Early trademark registration, especially in a global marketplace, can be a valuable component of a brand and business strategy.
Use those assets, if IP is considered a key economic asset, how IP can be used to leverage growth in the future.
Si eres creativo, debes patentar tus ideas, debes registrar tus ideas y debes certificar que son tuyas.
IP rights are at the service of SMEs around the world. I wish you all a very happy World Intellectual Property Day.